Hi, I'm Jake Larson, Vice President of Vibrate-A-Way. Today, we're here with Dr. Daniel Woodruff, the creator and founder of the Vibrate-A-Way system. So, Dr. Woodruff, what is Vibrate-A-Way?
Well, that's a good question, Jake. And unfortunately, it's not a clean and simple answer. It's sort of like eating an elephant. You got to start with one bite at a time. I tell you what. Let me take us back a little bit. See, I'm a practicing chiropractor, and I've been practicing for over 23 years. And I became disappointed, maybe frustrated with the limitations that chiropractic care was providing for my patients. You see, I would work on somebody, but I would keep having to see them every 2 or 3 weeks because they would be going back out of alignment. But then I also looked around and I also saw the medical community kind of struggling with the same thing. You put people on prescriptions, they have to keep taking it. If they don't, it goes back. Physical therapy. They work on people, increase their range of motion. They give them the home exercises. They don't do it. It goes back. And so what I saw was an entire industry that was falling short when it came to musculoskeletal care. You see, when it comes to acute trauma, the care is very good. But with the chronic, the conditions that we have and that you might have learned to live with or been told that's part of the aging process or whatever it might be, we're not doing a very good job with it. So it started me on a course of research. I have spent tens of thousands of hours on research, studying the biomechanics, the musculoskeletal system, the brain's input, nervous system, to try to figure out what can we do to make chronic musculoskeletal care better than what we have now. And what I found was surprising, Jake. Most of the cutting edge research is telling us that most of the chronic musculoskeletal conditions that we suffer from is actually caused by the brain.
Could you tell us a little bit more about how the brain kind of causes this issue?
Yeah, you bet. See, the brain controls our organ systems. Like it has a control in the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system. The brain is the master computer. But what we don't really think about, and what we haven't realized, is how active the brain is with our musculoskeletal system. See, our brain is continually changing our posture, our movement, based on trauma, repetitive use, different stimuli. You see, right now, the way healthcare is if you've had, let's say you have a problem with your left knee, and you've been dealing with it for years. Every healthcare practitioner you go to, what are they going to do? They're going to look at the knee. And most of them are only going to look at the knee, and nothing else. But have you ever had a cut that's bled for 5 years?
No, thankfully not.
Yeah, you would probably bled out by now. But tissue on the inside heals at the same rate as tissue does on the outside. A little bit different, but not that much. So why is it your knee still hurts? It's already been resolved. Well, the reason is accommodation. You see, our brain will make accommodations to those injuries and those issues. And what we've always thought in healthcare before is that once the injury resolves, that the brain will undo the accommodation. It doesn't. It stays that way. And so we basically go through life stacking accommodation on top of accommodation on top of accommodation.
What's the best way to overcome these accommodations that add up throughout life?
Well, you know, the brain is the thing that changed us in the first place. The brain made that accommodation. And that accommodation that we've carried around is what's generating that pain. See, I can give you, let's say my shoulders are rolled in. I can give you stretches, and I'll help to loosen it up. But if the brain wants you to stay in that posture, it tightens up. And most people, and I guarantee you there's a lot of you out there that experience this, a massage. A massage feels great. But guess what? 2 weeks later, you need another one. Why? Well, the massage therapist helped to loosen up the pecs and the arms, and oh, that feels great. But your brain says, sorry, we need to have you this way. And the reason why it does that, Jake, is that the brain wants your musculoskeletal system to be stable. The number one priority of the brain is to make sure that you don't fall down, you don't trip, you don't cause harm. It could care less if you can move. It could care less if you hurt. Different parts of the brain do, don't get me wrong. But the part that controls your musculoskeletal system, they don't care. They want to make sure you're stable. So the brain is going to change your posture back to a position where it thinks it's stable. So the only way that we can undo this is to tell the brain, quit it. Don't do that accommodation anymore.
Could you tell us a little bit what it looks like in trying to help a patient who's going through these accommodations and what you do to try to undo them?
Oh, sure. First off, what you have to do is we have to start off at a starting point. What is a normal posture? What is normal movement? And in my other videos, I'll take you through that, or you might have already seen them. So we have to start at what is normal. And based on that, where are your deficiencies? For some people, it might be in the lower girdle, the knees, the hips, the feet. Some people, it's the neck and shoulder. You have to find out where the brain is really making those accommodations. Now, that nervous system that talks to the brain, that tells you where you are in time and space. Like, for example, have you ever been out on a boat and you know, been on a, like, out on the Great Lakes or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, the reason why you didn't fall down was proprioception. So your brain senses where you are in time and space, and it will correct things and change things to make sure that you don't fall down. So the only way I can change somebody's posture is to have the brain change it. And the only way you can do that is through the proprioceptive nervous system. See, you have hundreds and millions of these nerve endings in your muscles, your joints, and they're constantly telling your brain where you are in time and space. Now, these nerves respond to things like vibration, percussion, pressure, stretch, angulation, velocity. All these things trigger off those nerves, and they send a signal to your brain. And based on that, then your brain then responds. It's a feedback loop. So what we do is we utilize vibration to be able to communicate to the brain. So if your pecs are tight, then we work on the shoulders through vibration to send a signal up to the brain to get the brain to reset it. Because the brain is the only thing that can change that posture.
It's very interesting.
It is. And if you notice, the Vibrate-A-Way program is a 60-day program. And a lot of people will say, well, why is that? Well, sometimes in science and in health, you have an answer, but you don't know why you have the answer. That's this situation. In my experience and through experimentation, what I have found is that no matter how bad you are or how little you're affected, it'll take the brain about 60 days before it says, fine, go ahead and change my posture and we'll let you keep it there. Yeah, if you remember in high school biology, the term homeostasis.
I do.
A lot of us have forgotten it ever since high school biology. Good for you. you kept that. Homeostasis is probably one of the most important things in our world. And what homeostasis is a universal law that states the only purpose of a living cell is to remain stable. Cells are the building blocks of everything. Cells make up tissues, tissues make up organs, organs make up systems. Your organ system's in a soul. That's what you are. So you have to follow the laws of homeostasis. And so your brain has a bad posture as its new stable.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the brain is more concerned with staying stable than actually being in the right posture, and then that's what the vibration will address. Is that correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. And what happens is, as we make changes in a session with the vibration, we bring the person back into good posture. But the brain says, sorry, this is stable. And then we apply another session, and we go back, and then pretty soon we're fighting a war with the brain. And what I do is I make the old posture, what the brain used to think was stable, I turn it into being unstable. Now see, the brain is a lazy, lazy organ. It's going to take the path of least resistance. So instead of creating a brand new posture, it's just going to use the one that's easiest, which is the one we are giving it. And that's when we see the results. And so when I say it doesn't matter who you are in that 60 days, that's generally when it happens. I could have to see somebody maybe 3 days in a week, 4 days in a week, because their brain is just really throwing it back into its old position. Or it could be somebody who is, oh, I don't know, 18 years old, fit and wonderful, and I only have to see them once every couple of weeks. I'll still have to keep seeing them until they hit about that 60-day mark, and then boom, the brain holds it.
What can the normal patient expect going through the 60-day Vibrate-A-Way program?
Well, one of the things that I've run into trouble with is people will see results immediately. And I'm not talking, oh yeah, that's a little bit better. They notice dramatic change. And it tends to almost let people think it's a miracle cure. I state unequivocally that this is not a miracle cure. But the results are so dramatic, Jake, and they see it right away. But what happens is the brain says no. And so the initial instinct is to say, ah, geez, it didn't work, it didn't hold. Somewhere along the line, I don't know where, people feel like if you pop somebody back into place, if you do it one time, it should hold. Maybe because they want it to be that way. I don't know. But the brain and the body are very dynamic. For example, I know you go to the gym. Did you ever go to the gym one time and build up amazing muscle mass?
Unfortunately not.
No. Boy, we could market that. But changing someone's posture and changing someone's muscle tone is what we're doing. Because the brain will tighten up certain muscles, will stretch out others. So it takes time. And so what people will notice is transition. And most of the clients I have, what they notice is the little things. They're like, I slept without getting up in the middle of the night last night. Or, I did the dishes, and normally I have to sit down. I didn't. It's function. They'll notice things about function. See, we're a pain-based society. If it hurts, I'll do something about it. If it isn't, I'm not going to deal with it. Well, if you have proper posture, you have proper function. With proper function, you don't have pain. So when my clients are coming for pain, what I try to do is to turn them right into function people. How are you moving? How are your activities? Because see, if you can improve the posture, improve the function, the pain goes away. So instead of concentrating on pain, let's concentrate on function. What do you notice? So some people, it's a very quick, their brain's like, hey, I like this, let's hold on to it. Other people, it takes time. And it might be an up and down thing. But it is change. And that is something that Vibrate-A-Way does. It's about changing the paradigm of how we view pain. Not only in how we view it, changing people from thinking only about pain, but also into function, but it's how we address it. We have been doing the same things the same way in healthcare for over 100 years. Sure, our technology is better, but our approach is the same thing. Einstein told us, or at least he's been credited with this, is if you do something the same way every time and expect a different result...
Insanity.
Insanity, exactly. Everybody knows that. Yet we do it. And see, the Western world loves its technology. And we think in that lies the answer. But the true answer lies in something as old as time itself, physics. This is all about how the body moves. Where is its center of gravity? Forces. That's all this is about. And see, we, as a healthcare industry, have basically forgotten about that. We rely on our technology. And our technology helps us to do things better, but it's the same approach better. And so what Vibrate-A-Way is doing is changing the paradigm on how we deal with pain.
Thank you for sharing. Is there anything else, Dr. Woodruff, that you'd like to add?
Well, I tell you what, Jake, this is a passion of mine. It is my mission to change the paradigm of how we view musculoskeletal conditions and care. And I want people to spread this out as far and wide as they can. I know that we have a lot of different platforms for videos and blogs and information. For me, knowledge is power. And I want to empower people out there to have the knowledge to improve their own quality of life. So I encourage them to come to our website and the different platforms of media that you're providing at Vibrate-A-Way. So, yeah, that's what I think what I would tell them.
Changing the paradigm on pain. I like it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing.